know when you wake up and you have an incredibly dull day ahead of you, you've got this boring thing happening, that boring thing happening, arguably what most people's daily lives are like. This week, Adam Barlow was in London doing placement for the Empire. What the freak? Adam listened to the Empire podcast get recorded and seemed to write some kind of review and tag along with people. What went on there, Adam?
Yeah, so I was there just to sort of soak up the atmosphere of the newsroom. It was a big L-shaped kind of building, I guess, in the centre of London by Euston, I suppose, where Bauer Media is based. As well as Empire, they have like Greatest Hits and Magic and Absolute Radio, all those stations, which was also very cool as a bit of a radio geek as well. But an absolute highlight of my trip was being a very small part of the Empire podcast this week. So I was sat in the corner writing notes, as you said. I didn't want to be on the podcast, or we kind of didn't really discuss it before we hit record. And because I wasn't introed right at the start of the episode, I then couldn't really all of a sudden appear in it just for, continuity, I suppose, which was fine. I was happy to just, be in the room and sort of laugh along to myself as well, because they're very funny guys, the trio that do it. And they introduced me early on in the episode, about 6 minutes in of this week's episode, where they reviewed one battle after another, if you want to go hear it. And I got a bit of a shout out for Moving Up Podcast. Come on.
So welcome all of our brand new thousands and thousands of listeners who have come over from Empire Podcast to listen to us. The host even said the name's amazing. You should be his co-host. So yeah, welcome to everyone. Glad you're here. Glad you're staying. Thanks for joining.
Hello and welcome back to Moving Up Podcast. It's episode 83 with your hosts, me, Adam Barlow.
And me, Alfie Walker.
It's a bright... No, it's not bright. What am I saying?
No, it's so grim. It's so grey out.
It's absolutely abysmal out there. It's a Sunday morning, which I don't think that we've ever done.
We've not done a Sunday morning record, from what I'm aware. I'm not hanging. I'm slightly tender though.
Oh right.
I had there's this little new pub that's opened in our park, like our local park. So I went down there, had 4 pints of, it was like grapefruit beer. It's like for Oktoberfest. It was so good. And then we went back to the summer house in Mum and Dad's garden, and I had a few whiskey and ginger beers.
Nice.
So yeah, feeling slightly tender. But...
Oh, bless you. Yeah, we said we'd do a 9:30. It's always rolling on to about 40 minutes after we actually say we'll hit record. But I understand why. That's quite fair enough. Very wintry drinks. You're in the autumn season already. The autumn atmos.
Summer's gone, mate. Don't kid yourself. Okay. It has been, from the moment September hit, it has been shit weather. It's been cold and sunny some days, but most days it's so grey and drab. So you might as well embrace it and start owning that it's not summer, that it's autumn. And yeah, start getting those wintry drinks out, get those Halloween wreaths and those pumpkins out.
Yeah, you're right. I'm living in a dream world. But the problem is, Alf, I run hot. Like, I can't really wear big old... Like, I've got a great set of really nice, heavy winter clothing, but I can wear it for, like, a week, a year, because it's just too hot. And I'll take it off. It could be snowing, and I'll take it off, and I'll be absolutely sweating. It's ridiculous. It's so annoying.
I'm quite the same, to be honest. I'm not very good at layers. Like, the moment I've got a t-shirt, a jumper, and a coat on, yeah, it's over. It's like a wet jumper, wet sweater factory underneath.
Ooh. How's house chat going? House chat? It's just house chat.
I watched a clip from House, the TV show, the other day, and I swear there was like vampires in it, and I did not realise that that's what this show's like. Yeah, apparently it goes really wild.
Hey?
Like, I swear down, there was zombies. No, there was a zombie in it. That's what it was. Yeah, straight up. I saw a clip of it on TikTok, and there was like a zombie in it.
You're
it's
pulling
like
my
straight
leg.
up. No, swear down. It goes wild. I thought it was like Holby City.
Yeah.
Or something like that. No, apparently it goes really off rails, and it's got really weird stuff in it.
That sounds mental.
Yeah. House chat anyway. We're having our kitchen fitted, which is why Everything's all over the place. We've got no water. We've got no sink. It's really difficult to eat. So it's all quite a lot at the moment. We're having to go to different people's houses to eat dinner, which is why this week I didn't really get around to seeing anything. But we're hoping the kitchen should be done next week. And we're hoping that by, let's say cautiously, by the end of October, we should have a kitchen, a living room, a bedroom, an office. And that is more than enough for me to get my life back on track.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Well, I'm glad it's all going well. My week, other than the Empire placement, I saw one of my biggest inspirations. Obviously Jeff Goldblum earlier in the year, and now BBC Radio 1's Greg James. I was ecstatic for this. I went with Jacob on Monday. It was as part of his new book tour, so he's got a new book out that came out on Thursday called All the Best for the Future, and it's a really great read. I've got 2 copies of it with a third one on the way. Don't ask why.
Yeah, why? No, I will ask why, Adam.
The first one obviously was in with the ticket, like the Richard E. Grant book tour we went to. Signs it, has a little moment, and that was lovely, really great. I'll get onto the photo in just a moment. The second copy was because I was in London. I'd left the other book at the place I was staying, and Greg James for the last 2 weeks was doing this sort of, my TikTok's been hacked, and loads of celebrities were getting involved. And it was sort of like loads and loads of clues, and it was a bit of a treasure hunt online. And the prize was you get to go with Greg James for dinner and to see Paul Chuckle of the Chuckle Brothers in a Christmas pantomime. And I needed to get a better photo. Again, I'll come on to it in a minute. But I was like, right, I need to get a book because the last password to figure out this hacker's identity and to get into the site is on the last page of the book. So I then, in my lunch break at Empire, went to a Waterstones, which was like a 20-minute walk away, bought the book. I tried to resist it. I was like looking through, I was like, there's got to be something obvious on the last page. There was nothing. I was like, great, I'm going to have to fucking buy it then, aren't I? So now I've got 2 books. I've spent 44 quid on these books. I hope every last penny goes to Greg James, otherwise I'll be furious. But yeah, what a palaver. And I didn't even get it in time.
Why is there a third one on the way?
The third one was because with excitement of going to see him on Monday, I was like, well, what if he doesn't personalise the signature? I was aware that
you bought another one.
I bought a personalised version, which he also uses the stamp of his dog's paw print, Barney, as well,
Cute.
Which I thought was quite cool. So it's sort of 3 different iterations. But put it this way, I've also then seen in Sainsbury's, with my 15% discount, they're selling them for 14 quid. I could get it for near enough 10 quid, right? So everyone's Christmas presents this year is going to be a copy of Greg James's new book.
I love the idea of walking into your house, walking into your room, and on your bookshelf you've got a signed Richard E. Grant book, you've got Michael Caine's biography, and then you've got 3 copies of Greg James's book. That's it.
Yeah. There's no other way about it, Alf. I'm going to have to buy one of those Lego book nooks because how else am I going to organise it all?
I mean, that's pretty perfect. Buy the really overpriced Lord of the Rings one that's not worth £120.
Yeah. And then, to go back to the photo, the lady that was standing there was sort of like taking her phones and was like, do you want a photo of Greg? I was like, yes, please. Now, I was the second person to meet him that day. And he sat behind a piano instead of the table that was laid out for him.
Roy thinks he's Jeff Goldblum.
He does. Not even Jeff was sat behind a piano, and that's his thing. Anyway, it was funny in his defence, but it did mean with the angle that I came at the piano from, I couldn't get around to actually get close for a photo. So I was then sort of awkwardly between the wall and the piano, and I was sort of like chatting to him, but also Jake was to the right off camera. And we decided to just talk about radio because we're both working radio now, and he loved hearing about that. He was very lovely, I must say, like really great to chat to. And I think maybe he wasn't quite in his flow of signing because we were just the second people that day. And I just sort of forgot to actually pose at any point or to look at the camera, or like I thought maybe that would happen after we've chatted and after I've got the book back.
Yeah.
But then I was just sort of ushered away. I was like, oh, okay. So then I looked at the photos. I was like, well, surely she's got a photo of me looking at him or like laughing or anything. No, I look like I've seen a ghost. Greg James looks like he's met me and he's excited to meet me, which is kind of nice. But Like, what's
Not
going
the
on
aim
there?
of the photo, yeah.
No.
I said to Jacob, right, I think you are generally quite photogenic, Adam. Usually you can take a quick, someone will take a photo of you, a candid, or they'll ask you to smile, and you will, and you always look good. You always look like presentable, and you've got a smile, that kind of thing.
Wow.
I think this is the first photo I've seen of you where you don't look you look, yeah, like a deer in the headlights is probably the only thing I can say. It's like you said yourself, it's a new meme format. It's asking for some text at the top and text at the bottom, or it's a reaction GIF. Yeah, man.
But what's so
she's
irritating?
so bad.
While we're talking about photogenic, like, Greg James looks bloody great in that photo.
Yeah,
like, I've got 5 brilliant photos of him on my camera roll, but me and each
what
one.
more could you ask for?
My arms are in my face. I'm blurry. Like, what's going on? I don't know. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's the reason I had to buy another book, because I was like, well, I need to right this wrong, get another photo with him. But alas, it's not worked. So my only hope now is to actually get a job on Radio 1, which is even more pressure, isn't it? This week, though, on the podcast, we've got 3 reviews for you. We've got a TV show and 2 films. One film very in advance. One film came out this weekend and has got a huge buzz around it. And then a show that I need to get on. I need to get on top of, because this sounds great. I know you've raved about it for years now. But what are you going to review, Alf?
I'm going to be talking about, only briefly, just because the first episode dropped. First episode of Slow Horses, season 5. But I have rewatched the entirety of season 1 to 4. We were watching like one episode a day, so we're doing that for a while now. And then I'm also going to briefly just talk about, I've started watching The Morning Show, which is the Jennifer Aniston, Steve Carell one on Apple TV. And then also I've watched the first 2 episodes of The Studio, the Seth Rogen sort of satire on the Hollywood money machine industry. So I'm going to talk briefly about that and have a little discussion about streaming. Most importantly, what films are you talking about, Adam?
So this week I've got a review of Paul Thomas Anderson's latest film starring Leo DiCaprio et al. It's called One Battle After Another, which in some ways describes my week. And then my other review is of Roofman, starring Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst from the Spider-Man trilogy. And that should be interesting. It's sort of a comedy, drama, romance as well. Lots of stuff going on in that one.
Sounds good. What are you going for first?
Let's start with One Battle After Another. So Paul Thomas Anderson, I think, Alf, you and I were just chatting off air how we haven't actually seen many of his films. I tried to catch some in the last week. So I watched Punch Drunk Love with Adam Sandler. I'll be honest, I thought I would love it. I just didn't click with it. I gave it like 2.5 stars on Letterboxd. It was not for me, I'm afraid. It was a bit too out there. It was a bit too difficult to understand, I suppose. It's very jaunty and a little bit random. I didn't quite gel with it. I also watched, though, a film I much preferred called Phantom Thread, which came out in 2017, I think. And it was the last film that Daniel Day-Lewis did before he retired, which is timely because he's just announced he's coming back for his son's film, Anemone, something like that. Yeah, so Phantom Thread, great. And also I'm partway through at the moment of watching Licorice Pizza from a few years ago as well, and enjoying that quite a lot so far. How about you, Alf?
Yeah, I've seen Licorice Pizza when it came out. For the life of me, I don't think I've had to say anything about it, though. And I think I've seen Boogie Nights. Other than that, no. I've not seen anything. I think it's quite bad that we haven't seen much of his work. But I guess now you've seen One Battle After Another. Yeah,
so this is his 10th film, I want to say. And it's a really brilliant film. It's received pretty much across the board 5-star reviews from Empire, from any review site out there that you go to. It's quite impressive how much the critics have absolutely adored this. I've seen, film Twitter is going crazy about it, saying like, well, I'll see you in 6 months when this clears up every award at the Oscars ever. I'm like, okay, if you say so. So needless to say, going into this, I had my hopes pretty high. I don't know if I was overhyped per se, because it's kind of hard, even having seen some of PTA's films, to know what to expect. He's got a huge amount of range, so no film was like another from him, in my opinion, from the ones I've seen. So I kind of saw the trailer. I actually thought the trailers were pretty okay. I think it has a sort of similar look and feel to Caught Stealing, and those trailers were out at the same sort of time. And I think Caught Stealing was the film I personally had more fun with. I think that's a film that's more to my taste. But One Battle After Another is, as well, very, very well put together. Cinematography looks great. Acting is all across the board really, really good. Leonardo DiCaprio, always fantastic. Again, a sort of actor I've never personally loved, but I know he's renowned. You know, he's done so much in his career. You know, from Titanic to Romeo and Juliet to The Revenant, everything he touches is kind of gold, right? So fair play to him. Another great performance here. Probably my favourite performance of the stuff I've seen. Again, not that much though. Sean Penn plays the villain, Stephen J. Lockjaw, who is absolutely despicable here. He's just so he's so gross and like he takes absolutely no bullshit. He's so humorless. He's so grumpy and like the most kind of down the line American sergeant, captain, whatever his ranking is. He is just absolutely laser focused. He's such an interesting character. He kind of steals the show. Every scene he's in, he's actually hilarious. Like how evil and like just unlikable he is. It's done for laughs as well. It's a sort of well, Google here the genre says comedy adventure if you want to call it that. So yeah, he's very, very good. Speaking of stealing the show as well, Benicio del Toro plays Sensei Sergio, who is only a small role, but again, so good. He's always an absolute delight whenever he shows up in things. Regina Hall, also great. Chase Infinity, who plays Leo DiCaprio's character's daughter, fantastic. I think she's only been in a couple of things before this, but everyone has absolutely adored her. I think she puts in such a great performance here. She has to actually have quite a lot of range in this role as well, which she absolutely carries off. It's really a double header, really, between her and DiCaprio. And the fact that she holds her own for so much of the film as well as she does is an absolute testimony to her. She's a rising star, so do keep your eye out for her. Her name, by the way, Chase Infinity. Infinity based off of Infinity and Beyond from Toy Story. And Chase, let me look that up because I've forgotten.
I thought you were going to turn and go, Chase from Chase and Status.
Yeah, Chase and Status, of course. And Chase, her full name, based off of Nicole Kidman's character in Batman Forever, Chase Meriden. You know that character? Yeah, I've not seen that film, but yeah, there are worse actresses out there to be named after, I suppose. Fair play. Last but not least is Teyana Taylor, an actress I don't think I've seen in other things, but she plays the wife or partner of Bob Ferguson, Leo DiCaprio's character, and she is an absolute powerhouse as well. She's only in it for the first act for reasons I won't explain, but an absolute, really makes such a strong impression. So yeah, great cast. Oh, Alana Haim also in there in a small role from Licorice Pizza. She played the main girl in that. So overall, on every sort of technical level, it really worked for me. The plot is fairly straightforward, I would say. It's about these revolutionaries who fall in love, through doing chaotic, trying to right wrongs of the government and things like that. It's very politically charged, I suppose. Although at the same time, I don't think it says that much politically, whereas other people think this is such a great, relevant explanation of the state of America and the Western society. And I'm like, is it though? Kind of, but it's very much on the periphery, I would say. The main film is like an action, father-daughter comedy drama. And yet everyone's like, oh, it's so biting with its satire. I'm like, is it? Okay. If you get that, that's great. I personally didn't get it. I think it was better in Eddington, which also has some similarities, but I'm aware that I really quite enjoyed Eddington quite a bit, and other people are like, get rid of it. So there we are. I liked it, but everyone's saying it's the best film of the decade. I'm not quite there. The film is, as I say, fairly simple, so I don't get how everyone's sort of finding quite so much in this. Maybe there's a lot of subtext that I just totally missed. I've booked in to see it again on Monday. I'm interested to see if I come out of it feeling more set in stone with my sort of, positive but not quite so extreme view. Or maybe I will just be like, what am I saying? Of course, this film of the year, film of the century. Applaud, yes. PTA, you wizard.
Mega claim to say, though, isn't it? Film of the film of the decade's kind of
It is.
wild, and I have seen that scouted about on reviews and websites and letterboxds and stuff, and yeah,
it is weird. But yeah, the two characters fall in love. There's a 16-year time jump. Chase Infinity, the daughter, Willa, they get separated. Sean Penn's captain, who they have a run-in at the start of the film, comes back for revenge. It's all in the trailer. The trailer sets it up pretty well. You don't really need to know a lot more than that. I don't want to say any more than that because there are a few twists and turns in there that are fun to discover for yourself. So yeah, I'll keep it vague. But it's one of those films where it doesn't really happen very often, I don't think. I think you and I are quite... I don't want to say we don't have our own taste, but I think what the masses like, it tends to be for a reason. And yeah, as I say, I enjoyed it immensely, but not to the extreme levels of other people. I don't think it's my favourite film of the year, let alone the decade. So it's very interesting. Someone who did, though, think that it's the second coming of Christ is Joshua Brooker.
What a great segue. That was phenomenal.
Yeah. Write that down. We'll use that again. Let's get up his email. Alf, do you want to start with this?
Yeah, sure thing. One battle after another. More like one absurdly long Joshua Brooker email after another. Dear Dirk Diggler and Reed Rothschild, I'll cut right to the chase. Is that a pun there because of Chase Infinity?
Well, it might be, yeah.
I'll cut right to the chase. One battle after another is tense, bold, gloriously paced masterpiece. My initial viewing left me in such a state of shock and awe that for the first time ever, I went straight from one screening straight into another. Wow, that's insane. Because it's probably not a short film either.
No, in fact, it's 2 hours 50. I should have said that. It's 2 hours 50. It's a long film.
Plus trailers.
Yeah.
That's mental.
Yeah. It's an afternoon gone, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
I will say, on the runtime, it does not feel like that long at all. So I can totally see how he felt energized to go in. I think had I enjoyed it more, I probably would have been in the same boat, and also had I not had a gig that evening. But anyway, details. For a film that's 3 hours long, it does whip by. I think it feels quicker and pacier than things like The Batman, which, I mean, even that's well paced, but this really does, it is just like bam, 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 which I do really enjoy about it. Yeah, carry on.
In fact, I'd say it's now my favourite film of the year so far. Sorry, sinners. I draw the line at the whole best film of the decade business, however, mainly because there have been tons of absolute all-timers in this decade so far, and we've still got just over 4 years left of this decade. I'm glad he said that there.
Yeah, I agree. He said, I'm not going to rehash the plot, mainly because I'm sure you both will have done a good job of doing so. Instead, I wanted to address a point or two about the film. I think One Battle After Another is the film of the decade. Not the best film of the decade necessarily, but one that captures a world that we as a society are sleepwalking into if we aren't there already. A society that sees acts of political violence as the only meaningful vehicle for change, and a world where peaceful protests no longer have any bearing. For a group like the French 75, that's the revolutionary group in the film, revolution is the only solution to rid society of its various evils, always targeting institutions, trying to force the hands of those in power to cave to the changes they desire. This, to me, ties firmly into the key messaging behind the film, around the ideas of change and legacy. For Bob, Perfidia, and their colleagues, did their efforts to bring about a revolution actually make any difference? Is the world a better place now than when they started to fight? The fact that as a film jumps forward in time, a voiceover states 16 years later and barely anything has changed says it all. However, what becomes clear as the film concludes is that PTA isn't trying to present a message about doom and gloom. Instead, it is the key for change is young people, and as long as they have change to fight for and learn from the mistakes of their predecessors, then they fight for a better future for all will never truly be lost. And given everything going on in the world right now, it feels like a more pertinent message than ever.
Then there's the Christmas Adventurers. While their members are responsible for one of the most hilarious and uncomfortable scenes in the film, the fact that the film depicts a white supremacist organisation lurking behind closed doors and digging its heels into various US institutions says so much about America. People despising foreigners yet depending on their cheap labour for business. and that's without bringing in the army's corrupt actions in the film, as led by Colonel Stephen J. Lockjaw, a demented hybrid of G.I. Joe, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Popeye, with a fragile masculinity of an edgelord teenager. Despite a certain shot near the start of the film that I'm grateful wasn't in 4D, he's quite possibly one of the most terrifying screen villains in a long while, mainly because it is plausible that that there's a litany of people like him out there.
The comment about the 4D scene, thank God. Yeah, I won't spoil it. It's it gave me flashbacks to Megalopolis in a way I never thought would be possible. He says, I could carry on, but this is already lengthy, and while the Guardian's review of the film is happy to spoil large parts of the movie, I would rather not for now. But overall, it's a fantastic film with superb performances from the cast as a whole, especially Sean Penn, Teyana Taylor, and Chase Infinity, and PTA's second best film behind Boogie Nights. I will end on this. PTA put out a list of 5 films that he said are worth watching alongside this film. I'd seen 2 of them before. Running on Empty, about an activist couple on the run and how their eldest son wants to live his own life, and The French Connection, a gritty 70s crime thriller with one of the best chases ever put to film. Both are highly recommended by me. Regards, Comrade Josh, the regular emailer, not the one that gets into rows with Bob about what time it is.
Thank you, Josh Brooker. He seems like he's fairly on the same level as you there, right? I'm presuming you liked it a little bit more, though. Like I said at the beginning, I'm glad he prefaced with, I don't think it's the best film of the decade, because that's an insane thing for people to say. But his second line after that, where he's like, but it is the film of the decade. It's clearly quite timely and poignant on what it says. So, yeah.
Maybe that's true, but in some ways, I kind of thought Eddington is that, really. It has very similar themes. This isn't a COVID-related film, but it feels like a modern-day Western in some ways, you know, when shit hits the fan and it's about characters frantically reacting to it. Yeah, I don't know. I think for my money, I preferred Eddington, which I think is, wild compared to other people's opinions. But there we are. I think One Battle After Another is the better film, though. But personally, I preferred Eddington. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about those films. Let's move on to Alfie's review.
So, Slow Horses. This is a show I've been raving about since I watched it. Maybe it was only a year ago. It might have been a little bit longer. And the fact that no one's watching it is baffling. I'm going to speak only briefly about it. It was only the first episode, so I'll just say. But we are going to talk about a little bit about streaming and what's going on at the moment. So yeah, season 5 starting off. Every single season is completely different. It tackles a completely different book, written by Mick Herron. So yeah, there's about 12 books. They're only from around 2010 onwards, and then yeah, every single season of this tackles a new book. So they're all quite separate. They've obviously got into the same characters and interlinking themes, and stuff carries over. But overall, they're quite separate. Season 1, you had a quite timely now actually with like far right and that sort of thing. Season 2 was about like Cold War leftover Russian sleeper agents. Season 3 was about sort of conspiracy theories. Season 4, I'm struggling to remember on the spot. And then, yeah, season 5 we've got going here. It seems to be so far about sort of incels, also quite timely. Gary Oldman is phenomenal in this. No matter if the writing in that episode is spot on and great, or if it's one of the episodes where the writing slightly drops a little, Gary Oldman brings it back. He is the reason you watch this show. He's outstanding. He is the most gross, disgusting, pervert old man. He just swears and he farts. I don't find fart humour funny, right? I do not find flatulence humour funny. But every time he fucking cracks his leg up and farts next to the head of MI5, it's so funny. It's so funny. He is so good. He has a comeback for everything. He is like demeaning. He hates the people he works with. in brief, essentially, the Slow Horses are a group of MI5 agents who have been renegated to a building off in the distance because they've all done something wrong. They've all done something to fuck up their careers. And he's in charge of them, and he hates them, but he also clearly cares about them. And his, Oldman's like performance between caring for them in private and going out of his way to make sure they all stay alive and they're there, versus his persona face to them, where he's calling them rejects and calling them this and telling them to go kill themselves. Like, it's a really good balance, and he really is the reason you'd watch it. Jack Lowden's also basically the main character. I believe he's the guy who's married to Saoirse Ronan.
Yes,
I
I think you're right.
I think he is. Yeah. He's also excellent. He really is the reason you also stay there. He's sort of charming, quite sort of cutesy for an MI5 agent. And then you've got a whole litany of other people. You've got Olivia Cooke is in the first couple of seasons. You've got Kristen Scott Thomas. I think she's Dame Kristen Scott Thomas. You've got Jonathan Pryce in there as well. You've got Hugo Weaving. You've got Freddie Fox. He's been quite a lot of British sort of stuff. There is some excellent actors, and the caliber of acting in this show is always off the chart. Season 5 has started, like I said, so it seems to be about incels. They're setting up sort of something maybe to do with far right again, potentially. I do think the writing in the first episode has dropped slightly. It feels slightly different. I wouldn't be able to pinpoint what at the moment. It seems a little maybe too fast paced and a little too obvious. The show previously has been it sort of sits on stuff and won't tell you what's going on. It's quite a show that I think if you don't pay attention to what you're watching, you're going to struggle to understand it. But season 5 is being a bit obvious about it so far. It's sort of stating the obvious and definitely doing the tell, not show. So far, the writing in that first episode hasn't been the best. However, Gary Oldman and Jack Lowden keep you there. They're excellent. And as the episode went on, I did enjoy it a little bit more. I'm going to continue watching it. It's one episode a week. There's usually only 6 episodes, so hopefully it's going to continue and just go upwards from here. But Apple TV are pumping out some absolute prime stuff at the moment. Like I said, I've also started watching The Morning Show, the Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell show. Basically, in essence, it's kind of reenacting this whole Philip Schofield thing in the UK, obviously on a much more pedigree level. It's America, and it's all a lot more high regarded in there, isn't it? But it's based on that. Well, not based on it, but you can see the similarities. The Morning Show is excellent. I could not recommend starting that enough, especially as a journalist, Adam. You will love it because it's just a journalist show. It just follows TV journalists and the writing and the drama behind the scene and the toxic atmospheres and the sort of rivalries and friendships. It's really good. I think we're on season 2 now. The Studio as well, the new Seth Rogen satire based on like the Hollywood machine, in essence. It's got millions of cameos from anyone you can think of is in there who's in Hollywood, which is so cool to see when they show up. And then you've also got other stuff on Apple TV. This sounds like I'm maybe a PR man for Apple TV, but I genuinely think that they are putting out stuff that is superior to anything Netflix are doing at the moment. I think Apple TV is so underrated. I think if people get on it, Netflix would lose out so much. The quality of the stuff coming off them, I cannot recommend enough. Yeah. Downloading Apple TV, getting a subscription and watching some of the stuff.
Why do you think Apple TV hasn't tracked so much? I guess because it's newer, for one. And maybe if you don't have an Apple product yourself, which, is probably still a 50-50 split between Samsung and other competitors and Apple, really. Maybe if you don't have that, then you're less inclined to check it out as well.
I think so. I think that the name Apple TV makes you maybe automatically think you can't watch it. You absolutely can. You can just download the Apple TV app on your on your Samsung Smart TV and watch it. Like, it's not locked. It's the same as Netflix, Disney Plus. I think they've jumped on at the time where people have got streaming service fatigue. I think that it's the same reason Paramount Plus isn't doing very well. I think you've got Netflix, Disney Prime. Then people are getting fed up now, and I think they've jumped on just at that moment where people don't want to fork over another £8 a month. People are skint as it is in this country, aren't they? Like, and it's a shame because, yeah, if you watch the caliber of the stuff they're putting out, it's miles above some of the stuff you watch on those other ones.
What's the back catalogue like for Apple TV?
So you've got Ted Lasso. We spoke about that. I haven't watched it, but that is absolutely regarded as great. You've got Severance, same thing again. Absolutely gets its raving reviews. People love that. There's that Harrison Ford one. Let's have a look. What's it called?
Is that Shrinking? Something like that.
Yes, Shrinking. Yeah, I saw trailers for that, seen clips of that. That looks excellent. The Harrison Ford, Jason Segel one. There's also that new Jason Momoa one, Chief of War. I've seen that getting decent reviews, and the trailer keeps popping up. That looks quite good. Silo is on there as well. They've not got the amount of content that you see on Netflix or Disney, but I think the caliber and the writing is way above what you see in other stuff.
Okay. Well, you convinced me when we spoke about this last night because, you know, just as someone, I've not even browsed through Apple TV, but I know off the top of my head there's at least 4 or 5 shows with multiple seasons going for them that I need to dive into. I think for whatever reason, I am just struggling with TV at the moment. I never got through Alien Earth, which wraps up this week as well. So I'm sure down the line, maybe, I don't know, in 4 years' time, we'll get a review of that. I was enjoying it, but I just found it a bit slow. I don't know. I'm sure it picks up. I will revisit it, I promise. But don't hold your breath. I think I'm more inclined with TV. I need something that's more like a half-hour, light-hearted thing, personally. So like Alan Partridge's new show comes out this Friday, and I cannot wait. I will be reviewing that for sure. And also The Hack with David Tennant, Toby Jones. That looks really interesting. Perhaps, you know, along that journalism theme you were saying with The Morning Show, that's about the phone hacking scandal. And Toby Jones plays Alan Rusbridger, who was the ex-editor of The Guardian, who I have communicated with for my dissertation in the past, which was very exciting. And he's also again, let's bring this full circle. This is a callback, guys. You ready? He is the father of Bella Mackie, who is the wife of Greg James. There we go.
Everyone, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know in this industry.
Yeah. And if you know Toby Jones, then you're in.
If you know Dobby the House Elf, you are sorted. Our silly little podcast does get us into some press screenings. Adam Barlow, luckily this one was timed with his placement at Empire, popped off to see Roofman, the new Channing Tatum film. How was it, Adam?
You sound like Darth Vader when you said Empire. Yes, this is an interesting film, I would say. It didn't knock my socks off, but reviews have been quite positive towards it, which is surprising because you watch the trailer and you might think, oh, this looks like, dare I say, streaming level fodder, really. The trailers, though, were funny, so I was expecting more of a comedy, I guess. But actually, it takes itself fairly seriously and perhaps isn't as funny as they could have lent into with such a ridiculous concept. So this tells the true story of a guy who escapes from prison. He was a former soldier, but sort of makes himself a professional thief. The guy's called Jeffrey Manchester, and this happened back in the early 2000s, sort of 2004, 2005, that kind of time span. Gets his name, the Roofman, by breaking into McDonald's. I think he broke into over 40 and stole money from their cash register, basically. So he gets branded as the Roofman, put in prison. You know how America sort of really highly covers their more interesting news stories, I guess. Like they're always recording police chases, things like that. It's that kind of era, which I think they're still in now, to be honest, but certainly, very much so in the early 2000s. So he escapes prison and he decides, sort of in a moment of panic, to hide in a Toys R Us. He ends up hiding in this little gap behind a bike display, which is a sort of hollowed out, almost like those big sort of water towers. It's almost that kind of shape. So he's up against the wall in the corner where no one would ever go. It's all dusty, but he ends up cleaning it. And basically, whenever all the staff leave at night, he cleans out this area. He uses all of these like children's duvets and cushions and inflatable chairs to make himself a little cozy living space. He uses calendars to mark off the days, and he totally rules the roost in the day. At night when all the staff have gone home. But he sets up with these baby monitors a whole sort of CCTV system for him to look at. He can listen to the discussions between colleagues. He can, he's fully kitted out. He knows what he's doing, right? Until he ends up falling in love, and this is also true, with one of the colleagues there. So the manager, I don't know if this part's true, this is probably embellished, but the manager of the store, called Mitch, played by Peter Dinklage, is an absolute dick, right? And he refuses to cut hours over Christmas. He is really quite funny, actually, in this film. He's probably a standout here. But he refuses to cut hours for the working single mum, Kirsten Dunst, who plays a character called Lee Wainscott. Again, real life person. She's very religious, goes to the church nearby, and Channing Tatum's Jeffrey Manchester ends up going to the church and just forming a bit of a relationship at the singles club with this woman. He gets very involved with her daughters, is really a great father figure for a while, until obviously he gets found out later on. But that's the main bare bones of the plot. Again, it takes itself fairly seriously, I would say, where you can really tell, this is really quite novel that this happened at all. But also, when he does get found out at the end, he's ruined people's lives. Like, this woman fell in love with him, and this family sort of accepted him into their home. And then his also ex-family, he doesn't see his daughter as much anymore. He doesn't see his wife, who moved on very quickly. It's just a real mess, and it really, you can tell he's deep down a very nice guy, because when he would break into the McDonald's, he'd send all the staff into the freezer, but give them coats and make sure they were warm. He didn't want anyone to be injured or anything, and would give away toys to charity and to the church collection, albeit stolen toys from Toys R Us. But it's the thought that counts. So in some books, he's quite a polite guy, but also he was just down on his luck, didn't really know what to do with himself after leaving the army, after being discharged. So it's kind of a sad story. And I've got to say, Kirsten Dunst in particular really does sell it to you when at the end of the film she's kind of distraught and just really feels betrayed and upset. But also Channing Tatum, you've got to hand it to him. We know he's got great political chops? God, not to my knowledge. Comedic chops, sorry. Both interchangeable in some cases. Political satire. But yeah, Channing Tatum, he was really funny in Deadpool and Wolverine last year. He's always good whenever he turns up in these comedic roles, and this is no exception. But also, he can absolutely carry off those more serious, somber moments very well. So I think those two in the lead do a great job, and they really sell the film. You've also got Peter Dinklage, as I say, on the periphery, but doing great work. Lakeith Stanfield, an actor I really like. He doesn't really seem to have carved out a career, though, really. He's done lots of little things in sort of middling projects, but it's always really great in them. Here, I think he's underwritten massively, which is a shame. I don't think this is the best thing to point to for him. But I'm sure he will get a big break soon, because he's very, very good. That's kind of the main cast. Ultimately, I had a decent time with it. I was aware, I think maybe going in, as I said, I thought this was going to be a comedy and funnier than what it is. So I ended up thinking about halfway through this film, I was looking around. It wasn't a full press screening. It was in that Cineworld IMAX screen again. And people were chuckling along, but I felt like the room was a bit sort of indifferent to it, pleasantly enjoying it, but also It's Roofman. It's Roofman with a bit of a
I think
shrug.
the premise, like you said, the premise is insane, and the fact it's a true story, I'm shocked that they don't go in with it full guns blazing and make it more of a comedy. And I think maybe you, along with everyone else there, probably thought it was going to be a bit more comedy focused. It's getting good reviews though. I've seen quite a few good reviews, and I know it's only critics at the moment, I guess, isn't it? But the scores online also are fairly sort of 80%, 8 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. It's getting pretty good reviews.
Yeah. I mean, Empire gave it 4. I remember seeing that in their last magazine. So, it's doing all right. It's doing all right, and good for it. I just wasn't personally bowled over by it, but I think it's one of those films you could put on. Again, I've said this a lot recently, but if you did have a family movie night in, maybe not a Saturday night, but I don't know, Thursday evening, stick it on. I think everyone will be like, yeah, I enjoyed that. Fair enough. You probably won't think about it again a week later.
Now let's head over to Kane's Corner. Michael, I can see you're in a dressing gown.
I am. It's a lovely Sunday morning. And to be honest, Alfie, I just wanted to feel cosy. Is that such a crime?
Where have you been, Michael? My God, what was the last episode you were on? What have you been doing? Have you been enjoying retirement?
Look, mate, I'm into my 90s now. I can't remember the last episode I was on here, but all I know is I missed it, Batman. I really missed it. And I'm glad to be back because I get to read a book to my best friends. As you might have seen in the old headlines, I'm coming back out of retirement.
Again, have you done this before, I think, right? You've retired and come back, retired and come back?
Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
Forgetting you're in retirement, potentially. You are 90 now, of course. What was the film? It must have been a mega film that brought you out of your recluse, your sipping scotch. What did it to you?
Well, people might not know this, Alf, but I am best friends, some would say, family, with Vin Diesel. And he and I starred in a film about 10 years ago called The Last Witch Hunter. And we're doing a sequel. Of course we are. Everything nowadays is a bloody movie follow-up.
What's the sequel called? Has it got a good name?
It's called The Last Witch Hunter 2.
Wow, sounds good. So you've come out of retirement specifically to star in this film with your good friend.
Well, mainly I've come out of retirement to do this. But the film was also on my table, and I read the script, and I thought, what a picture. So I had to say yes.
Are you going to read us, just like the good old times, you're going to read us a passage from your book?
As you've asked so politely, I think I will. Okay, are you sitting comfortably?
Yes.
Then I'll begin. When to break the rule and look back. I do make some exceptions. I have allowed myself recently to do a little bit of looking back. More and more, I've been bumping into old friends and reflecting on the journeys we have taken to bring us to these spots. When I was young and doing my first TV, I played a bit part in a police series called Dixon on Dock Green, opposite another struggling actor, a wonderful young Canadian called Donald Sutherland. Donald was a terrific and charismatic actor and great fun to be around. A few years later, as my career was just starting to take off, I was cast as Horatio in a BBC TV production of Hamlet. The director, Philip Saville, mentioned to me that he had finally, after some difficulty, managed to cast 4 Timbers. He explained that through 4 Timbers, in a small part who only comes on at the end of when everyone else is dead, he has to command the show. In other words, to be a star. It's very difficult to find an actor with the right star quality who's prepared to play such a small part, he said. I asked who'd he found, and he told me, Donald Sutherland.
Would have been funny if at the end there it was a completely different actor to Donald Sutherland.
That's not how book writing works, Alf.
No, sorry. Very poignant. Very, 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 very poignant.
Thanks.
Any more, before you go, Michael, any more films on the roster coming up that you come out of retirement for again?
Not off the top of my head, but I have always fancied a role as one of the Transformers.
Perfect. That'll do. Thank you for listening today to Movie On Up. This was episode 83, I think. Cheers for listening. You can also email in, just like Josh Brooker did. Let us know a review of the film, what you think of the pod, what you think of us, anything like that. Just give us some topics to talk about. Any kind of communication would be really appreciated. We do love it. The email address is hello@movieonup.com.
Yes, please do get in touch. You can also go via our Instagram or TikTok. The handles for both those platforms are @MovieOnUp.
We always do this and say what's on next week, but I haven't got the page up yet. So, Adam Barlow, take it away. What's on next week? What are we reviewing?
Well, I missed it this week, but I do want to check out that Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell film, A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. The reviews haven't been too kind to it, but I know Josh, he did say he was going to write in about it, but decided after seeing one battle after another to actually devote the time to that, which is fair enough. But he has defended it and said it's actually not too bad. It's not too bad. So I'm going to try and catch that. Is there anything else out?
No, absolutely nothing. We've got Smashing Machine, the Dwayne Johnson one, but that's out on the Friday. So yeah, we've got a pretty quiet week ahead of us here. So we say that all the time, and then we pull something out of the bag as usual.
Yeah.
But it may genuinely be a editorial one where we talk a little bit. So yeah, maybe let us know. Let us know what you want us to talk about.
I could catch up on Alien Earth, maybe.
Not a bad shout. I could try and do that as well. TV shows are a lot easier to watch for me at the moment due to the house. So yeah, that's not a bad shout.
Chance would be a fine thing. Anyway, whatever we review next week, it's going to be an absolute bloody banger, as always. So do stay tuned for episode 84, which will be also out, hopefully, on the Friday, as usual, because my week is a little bit less busy, which is nice, because I've been off my feet, as of you, and it's chaos doing this, especially as an independent podcasting institution.
Yeah, right. Where is our talent agency picking us up? I need to do this as a full-time job, please.
If any companies out there do want to sponsor us, please get in touch. We read
honestly, yeah. You know, on YouTube you get all of them, don't you? You get Vezi Shoes or HelloFresh or any of these brand deals. Please send them our way.
Before we go, what's your dream brand deal to do, would you say?
Oh, like a company to work with. Goodness, that's a question, isn't it? Empire, and then they just give me a job.
Yes. Yeah.
Just employ me, someone. Make me do a job that I don't hate, please. What about you? Who's your dream brand?
I was going to do a funny one, but actually Lego, right?
Yeah. Spot on. Yeah. Realistically, Lego.
Should we just send an email, see what happens? What's the worst that can happen?
Right. We'll do a Lego podcast. They started doing it and then they stopped, didn't they? So, come on.
We need to just pitch one to them.
What's his name? Christensen Hansen, if you're listening.
Give us a ring.
Cheers for listening.